Make a buddy, you're a boy, make a buddy, you're a boy, make a buddy, you're a boy now.
So I'm here to come to sell them again. 9.5 straight night, 20 straight night, even straight here. Now guys, 8 halves are trading as well.
What is going on, guys? So gonna do another weekly equity reviews. Have switched back to Thinkorswim for charting equities for a number of reasons. Just a little easier for me. Their watch list system is a lot better. The fact that they have their earnings, stock splits, all of that up there, it just makes things a little bit easier for me. And the watch lists are just about 1,000 times better than Sierra chart. So I will be doing all my weekly equity reviews in Thinkorswim. So give me just a second here. I am still getting acclimated here. Let me make sure. Okay, so we're good. So the first thing I'm going to start out with is the S&P 100, and we'll go through maybe the first 25 or 30 stocks, something like that. And so what I brought up in Thinkorswim here on the left side, here, let me put something up here. All right, pointer focus. Now you guys can see where this is at a little bit better. So up here on the left, I just do S&P 100. What I do is I just, when you customize it, put market cap by dollars, and then you can just organize this by market cap. Really easy, right? So you see that market cap in there. So anyway, let's start with Apple. I've got my 3 screens set up here. Oh shoot, you know what I don't like? All these lines here. That's ugly. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. We're just going to run through it. Alright, so Apple, oops, in this channel right here. This is a 30-minute chart here on the right. So it's just doing its thing. You could say Apple's probably at a buy point here, right? Right up against that channel. So I would expect it to continue doing the same thing. Here on the daily, let's zoom in a bit. All right, let's zoom in just a little. And let's put a trend line up here. So I'm going to have to redo some of this. So you can see where it kind of pulled back from. But this is a nice setup on the daily, right? Where this thing here is kind of coiling, and so we have a rule of 3 going on here, right? 1, 2, and then we're in the third area. So nice, healthy little pullback. So Apple relatively strong today compared to everything else. All right, the S&P kind of closed on its lows on volume, or the E-mini futures. So anyway, Apple very strong. Okay, weekly. Well, we can see what it's done. So it's up here in a range. I mean, this isn't beautiful, but whatever. Microsoft, I mean, this thing on the weekly just continues to be a monster. So let's go to the 30-minute, right, and just put some trend lines on there, right? Kind of starting to compress a bit here. Let's see. You know, Microsoft into a little bit of what could be deemed resistance up here, and that's probably why it's, you know, had a little sharp pullback in here, right? This is RTH, so this occurred in the regular trading hours. You can kind of see just by the volume. I've got the whole shaded extended or after hours turned off here. So anyway, Microsoft in a bit of resistance. So little double top action potentially on the weekly, just marching for sure. And this is log, so yeah, just marching, going back a decade. So probably what we'll do is we'll put a little trend line here. We'll see if it fills this area in, right? So if we do get a little double top action in Microsoft, and we had said before that it was bullish, right? This last week, or a few weeks ago, looked bullish. right? Kind of held this area, so it has been bullish, right? But now that we kind of have this double top action, what we want to see is if it pulls back, will it pull back into this area, then go, right? Or does it keep going and then potentially break this trend line, right? That's something of note. And then this would be, again, support. Trend line would be support. But you want to see, does it hold what was this swing high over here, right? So that is what we're looking at. Amazon, strong, in range, looks really good. So let's go chart it on the 30. Was that RTH? Yes, it was. That was, let's see. Yep. Okay. So something like this. All right. So in a channel, we could just say that. So a little sideways action from Amazon would be a good thing. Close to all-time highs up here. Potentially resistance up in this area. Potentially. Goodness. Up here, that's potential resistance. But 1, 2, now this would be a third time. Market keeps coming back to it. So, you know, Amazon might be strong, might be moving to the upside here. At least testing all-time highs, so it just continues to look good. Very strong today relative to all the weakness we saw in the markets today. So again, E-mini sold off into the close, closed on volume. Amazon held up well. So this is a whole balance area in here. So what we'll do is we'll do something like this. Just say that's balance, and we'll take this and we'll do white. The color, let's do this. What's the transparency? We'll turn it way up. All right, that should be better. So anyway, imbalance. You can see it on the weekly here. And looking to maybe make another move, explode higher. So there's Amazon. So those are the top 3 market caps. So let's go to the 4th. Again, we could see that because we have market cap up here. See that? So that's the market cap. So anyway, that's that far column. So here we go with Google. So Google definitely holding this trend line, and then if we put another trend line here, it's holding this one as well, right? Just marching quite nicely. So in this channel. So wouldn't be surprised if Google pulls back a little bit. Low volume node here on the daily. Let's see here. There you go. Yeah, little pullback here into the LVN would not surprise me one bit. So that will have an impact on the S&Ps, obviously. And on today's action, let's see, or the 30-minute, I should say. We're just ranging out, right? So made this big impulse here, and now we're just balancing here on the 30-minute over the last week. Okay, so Google's coiling. Again, kind of same charts. Google with the Nell, Facebook on the 30-minute, definitely balancing, right? So just balancing out through this area here. It tried and couldn't do it, but it's still balancing, right? If it breaks down below here, then we have a trend line underneath on the daily. See that? So if it breaks this balance, you've got a trend line, so it might go a little further if it comes back to the downside, because you break that trend line and you have balance. So the balance you double up about here, and then it's an LVN here. So, but if you break that trend line, because you have balance here as well, you might get a move that's further to the downside. Okay, so that's interesting. Berkshire Hathaway, B, clearly in a downtrend. A little bit wrecked here, this chart. Let's zoom out on this thing, get a better view. Go from the lows, we'll do that. Okay, clearly the more recent well, let's see. We have this, but we have, okay, this more recent channel, very parabolic, very steep, violated. So it looks like it's headed down to at least 265. But if we put a trend line on it here, yeah, there's some, what looks like a buy zone here. So we'll call that a buy zone right there. On the trend line, maybe below the trend line, little volume node. Doesn't look terrible. Tesla. Man, Tesla's starting to shape up nicely. Maybe it's not. We'll see. You know, this, if Tesla does something like this, back up, and this, I'd be inclined to go short for a move like that. And then this is now then support. I'd be a buyer. But this is not a bullish pattern like this. That is a descending triangle, right? Essentially, prices, there's a buyer here, but it can't make new highs. There's a buyer here at the same level, and if it can't make new highs and rolls over again, and it keeps compressing, what tends to happen is once that buyer is done, and like you're not getting any more compensation, they're not a buyer anymore, and then they capitulate, the market capitulates, and then boom, down. However, if from these moves, right, everyone sees this action, and then we get buyers from that trend line, it could really go move to the upside. So when markets move in ways that people don't expect, what tends to happen is the opposite. So if everyone sees this and they expect it to break down, but it actually starts to break up, then essentially people who have been shorting or shorting too heavily here get trapped, and if it breaks up, then they all become buyers. You break the trend line, long people start buying the stock, and then shorts just get completely screwed. So something to watch. But this is a buy zone. See, I gotta put all my zones back in here now. Look at that. Right in this area is a nice buy zone. Let's see. I'm just looking right there. Here, a little bit lower. So if it breaks down from here, it's gonna go. So probably something like that is a better buy zone. Yeah, previous highs. This might get a pop right at 500 potentially, if it does break down. But because this is kind of a balance, well, it's a classical charting pattern. You want to measure it from low to the highest point here, from the lowest low to the wherever the trend line meets. So that would be what, 535 to 827, $300. Jeez. Yeah, I don't think so. It's kind of like Bitcoin, right? When it was doing its descending triangle at, what was it, 3,000? The measured move off that took it below zero. So we know that's not possible. So same thing with Tesla. I don't know that this is possible, that you have a $300 measured move from this trend line break, puts it at 2 something. Don't think so. So less likely for this to come to fruition and hit its full target. So I would be a buyer here. Anyway, that's my logic on this. Tesla just ranging out this week, last 5 days, you could just see. So in a bit of a range here, coming up to the top of it, already tried, rejected. A little bit of weakness in the market today, so but relatively strong, not as strong as the broader market. So Visa. Visa looks interesting. Right at this trend line. So we'll see. Not a huge opinion on Visa, except, let's see. You know, it's drifting up, but you know what you want to see is you get a kind of move like this, and then it breaks a horizontal support resistance area. You want to see it go, come back, test that area, then go. So I mean, it's still making higher lows and higher highs, although here it didn't do that. So but it's a little messy here. So we'll see. Just have to wait it out on Visa NVIDIA. Let's see here. I don't want that on. All right. So NVIDIA. I'm short NVIDIA. I don't know if you guys can even kind of tell that, but I am short NVIDIA. Where am I short from? 750 maybe? Bought some puts. But I've been trading this on my Interactive Brokers account and my other Thinkorswim account. So yeah, I'm short NVIDIA because I've been talking about this for a long time. Let's see on this. Comparing it to Boeing. Let's see here. And we have this expanding sort of symmetrical broadening formation, megaphone pattern, right? So you could say, what's crazy, when you get a symmetrical broadening or megaphone pattern, you find lots of patterns within patterns. So here's what I'm finding now. Look, some people will look at this and go, big, wide left shoulder, head, right shoulder. And then they'll say, oh, elevated neckline. Oh, this thing's going to go to 8. Jeffries has this thing at 800. But anyway, shorter term, on this bad boy, little bit of a selling tail on the daily. So who knows? Came down off of what, 773 or so. God, I played this thing so much today. It made me a lot of money. Just buying puts and selling 10-point ranges. I missed the whole move into the close. It was busy. Should have closed some more puts, but whatever. We'll see if we get a little bit of selling induced because of this daily candle. But this is still short-term support right into 740 or something like that. So if it starts to kind of come in here, then the next level is 720. So maybe they go take out stops down in here. 710. I would close my short if it came down here. And if it goes to 800, I'll probably roll. I'll probably roll the puts. But anyway, so NVIDIA, a little broadening. It has broken up, got a little crazy to the downside, right? You can see kind of the way it's been moving. Measured move, right? Measured move, pull back. Measured move. So obviously, I want to see something like that. So my puts are end of July or something like that. And there's spreads. I think I bought like 750 to 710 spreads. I don't know, something like that. But I bought a bunch of different ones. Okay, so NVIDIA, obviously very strong, still in an uptrend. Yeah, that move, Charles, was cray-cray. I bought right at the close on one of my Thinkorswim accounts. Some put spreads, and took some heat on them today. But I was day trading puts on NVIDIA today, and they were just, oh man, it was just so nice. The structure today was kind of hard to, well, you can kind of see it on the 30-minute, right? We made this move, and then it pulled back. It kind of did this, and it tried to make new high on a 5-minute, right? This is a 30-minute, and then it started to reject, and it comes in. So I started buying puts in this area, and then I covered down, into this area. I missed that whole move down into the close. I just missed it. I was totally focused on the E-mini, but yeah, super sick move here. This whole area has very, very weak structure. Let's see if I can show you guys. Right in through here. Very, very weak structure, like short squeeze structure. So, yeah, markets typically go back and test those areas. Very low volume. So markets do like to go test that, and then maybe it'll spring back up here at 720 or something like that. So anyway, a little selling tail on the daily. So we'll see if that induces some weakness after a humongous daily candle here. So little bit of profit taking is pretty normal after a move like that. So anyway, going kind of slower here. I'm gonna start smashing. JP Morgan looking like a head and shoulders on the daily. You see that, right? So it's on support, low volume node here, right? Big selling. Looks like, I don't know, kind of interesting with the banks. So anyway, that's what I'm looking at. Little kind of head and shoulder-ish kind of price action. There's the left shoulder, there's the head. So we'll see if it rolls over and does something like that. And then, you know, measured move would probably take it in here somewhere. So at 127-ish. So another 20 points. But look for the lower high and then the rollover, because this is already, it's indecisive structure, but it's no longer in an uptrend clearly, right? It's come down and met essentially this neckline, right? Which is, it's now a neutral kind of structure, but this rounded top like this, look at that volume there too on JP Morgan. Look at that. Wow, earnings coming up. I don't know, we'll see. Might have decent earnings. We'll see what happens. Interesting chart. Not bullish, but it might pop. It'll likely pop because of that, and we know XLF tends to have a big impact on the S&P, so we'll see. Johnson & Johnson breaking lows. Where was the close? Somewhere in here. So at these lows. So kind of interesting after hour weakness down here on Johnson & Johnson. It's broken some trend lines on the daily, and that's what's got people a little scared like this, right? So it went into that trend line, it consolidated right here on the daily, and now it's breaking down. Okay, so it's kind of like down, up, bear flag, down. So, you know, you might target this LVN, maybe 158. Oh man, not very much. 3 points for 4 or 5 points of, yeah, it's kind of a tough one. Maybe put your stop in this balance area, 164. So then you get like 2.5 points for $3, $3.50. So a little bit better than 1-to-1 risk reward. So anyway, Johnson & Johnson kind of broke this trend line. You can see on the weekly, if you did a trend line down here, it broke that as well. So let's put that on there. Man, I got a big old 49-inch monitor above the screen I'm on right now. I wish I could use that. It wouldn't work well for YouTube unless I... Yeah, I've got other stuff up there now. It's incredible, just incredible. I'm at 4 screens now, but a lot of screen space. It helps so much when you're trading futures to have all the different chart types up, to not have to click between them. Oh, helped me so much today, a lot less stress. Anyway, Walmart in a downtrend, consolidating. I like this move for the bear. You see how it came down, rejected off that tip there? So if you're a bear on Walmart, alright, so there's your local trend line, and then longer term on the weekly, it's not in trouble yet. See, it's right there. So not a big deal. Let's see on the daily. Here. Oh, you know, that is interesting. This will have, I don't know exactly where that candle goes, so let's see. Anyway, we'll just do this. Ooh, look at that. Lower high. I think Walmart's going lower. It's going to probably at least break the trend line, $4 or $5, short-term target. So this is acting like support a little bit here, this little consult, but broken down. Bigger structure is this kind of rounded top with a lower high. So you would expect it to extend down. I don't know, maybe even point of control for the daily. This is point of control for the last, what is it, 3-year daily chart? Yeah, 3-year daily. So that's what that is. It's not visual bars based composite profile on the right here. This composite profile looks at the whole loaded chart, which is 3 years of data. So essentially, let's see. Use that little hand tool. Yeah, it goes all the way back. hasn't been higher than this, so it is nice to look at with, let's see if we can do that. So it is nice to look at the volume profile looking back 3 years. So anyway, low volume node, high volume node. So this, you know, you might get a little false breakdown, but you know, this doesn't bode well. I wouldn't be long here, no way. Short biased all the way, even if only for 4 or 5 points, right? Or $4 or $5, right? So there's Walmart. So more likely downside in Walmart. So just kind of mentally try to keep track of what do these look like, right? This is market cap weighted according to the S&P. So it's going to drag the S&P, have the greatest drag on the S&P 500, right? In this case, it's just the top 100. Don't need to load 500 into this watch list. That's just wasteful. Anyway, trend line, bounce, United Healthcare. See that? But this is precipitous, to say the least, on United Healthcare after this. So now, you know, the trend line watchers are watching this going, oh my gosh, this breaks down. So that is why you've seen what you've seen out of this. So kind of interesting. Potential to break down further. MasterCard, choppy as all hell. We won't even comment on that. PayPal, we've been bullish on PayPal, said it's a good chart. And the reason is, look at it, right? Rule of 3 over the last few, whatever, weeks. Last week I didn't do my equity review because I did a YouTube video on Sierra chart. So, but I was stupid bullish. I picked up PayPal, already sold it. But it looks, look at how strong it is on the 30-minute, this right side. So it looks really good. I think I need to get rid of those lines. Yeah, maybe after split. Yeah, no. Is that it? Nope. Oh, I don't know what that is. Is that just each day? Probably. Yep, that's all it is. Whatever, we'll leave it on. So PayPal's looking good. It broke this previous high here, so I'd be looking to buy pullbacks on PayPal. So if it comes in here, probably support is like 265, 270. But it looks good. It's breaking out. So looks good. Bank of America. Again, banks, what does it look like? Kind of head and shoulders on the 100 period moving average. I think that's the 100. Yeah, 100. Okay. So it looks good. I mean, it looks bearish. Sorry. Looks good. Look at that left shoulder. Big old rounded top. Big volume selling here. They're selling the banks, guys. They're selling them. Just letting you know. So let's put something on the chart here. Like that. Right. A level. And another level. I'm going to go a little faster today. So anyway, so you want to see if it bounces. LVN would be this level here. So if it bounces, then it gets sucked back in. So let's see. Anyway, Procter & Gamble. See, a lot of things are coming back to these trend lines here. Look at that. 1, 2, 3. I expect that to break. So probable downside with Procter & Gamble. Let's put a little bigger trend line on the weekly. Kind of looks on the weekly. If it comes down, it could base out here. But we'll see. Home Depot. 30-minute. Just in a solid downtrend here. Oops. Come on. It's like, nope, I'm not listening to you. Okay, so there you go. Alright, just solid little channel here. and then it's also got another trend line here. See, this is gonna freak out a lot of people, especially because you have this pattern going on, right? You see on the weekly, right? You see that perfect little megaphone kind of pattern. It doesn't matter that all the lines don't match up, right? The idea is it just keeps getting more and more volatile. So if it breaks this, man, a lot of these stocks. Well, Home Depot looks like it's ready to shit itself. Disney looking head and shoulder-ish, but it's still an elevated neckline, so you know it's right. So this relative to this, but a very kind of price action really moving tightly up against this trend line here. So any little movement this way, and it'll probably try to pop. So that's kind of interesting. 30-minute, it's just been downside, right? But what I'm kind of looking at here is, you know, this move followed by this, followed by a lower high, and if it breaks that, oh boy, right, then you'd be looking at this area. See the high volume node? So what is that? Well, we'll take this off. 149-ish for a buy, right? And then fills that gap completely, so it's not filled all the way down in here, but even lower. Because, you know, breaking that trend line and all this supply, yeah, so, you know, kind of the key is for it to break 166, right? And then you got air, and you got gap, and then you got high volume node. Looking back 3 years, so yeah, like that in this area. So, yeah, Disney doesn't look bullish. Adobe, going for it, really going for it. So on the 30-minute, let's see, it's a nice little trend right to the upside. Nice pullback, made new highs, pulling back, kind of held, starting to curl back up. Relative strength today compared to the rest of the market. On the weekly, just solid uptrend, maybe a channel like that or something. Oops. Jeez. All right. I should probably extend this out right, but it's a weekly chart. That's no big deal. Okay, so this one, just looking at the daily, it's broken out. Prior all-time highs. So balance. A little bit of a, this is interesting, an inverted head and shoulders. So this shoulder comes down further, and then here's your head, and then this is truncated, meaning it's more compact in nature compared to all of this price action. And that's usually pretty bullish. So anyway, measured move on this, oops, might be something like, oh, let's see. Oh, I don't even know where the vertical measuring tool is, whatever. 421 up to 532, what is that, 110? Breakout 529, so that puts it 640-ish. So let's just go put something at 640. All right, so got this, 640, measured move. Okay, you just say edit properties. We'll call it, let's see, the name, show it on the right, measured move target, MMT. Okay, see that? There you go. So see if it hits it. Kind of corresponds to the channel too. Right, so if you extend the channel out, it's right near the measured move. So anyway, Adobe's really strong. Does not surprise me in this economy. Work from home, etc. type thing. They've got a lot of tools for people that work from home, so this does not surprise me at all. So strong, getting stronger. Comcast, my internet, my ISP. I've been saying it's a bullish chart for a while, but I hate them. They filter my internet all the time, and my disconnect issues once in a while that occurs with my trading is usually because of them, so whatever. They have a stranglehold, and they're by far the fastest. You know, my internet connection is like 200 megabytes download a second, but then the upload sucks. They don't want me to be a YouTube streamer, apparently. It's like 5 or 6 megabytes upload speed, so I'm surprised I get an excellent connection off of this. But I do. Anyway, so in the channel here, let's, I don't want to extend it, right? We'll just leave it like that. So still bullish. XOM. 1, 2, 3. Short term. Man, my kid is throwing stuff around his room. Anyway, that's not a good look, but it's still making higher lows. So, but if it breaks down here, it might mean revert a bit. But you know, this isn't a higher look to make a false breakout here and then instantly pull back in. But you know, a lot of trends have rising wedges, so I don't put that much stock in the rising wedge until it breaks maybe this low, 58, 57.5. If it breaks that, then I'll say, okay, the trend is changing. Then you look to short any bounce right into this area and look to go short. But from here, nah, you don't want to enter prematurely. So Coca-Cola just still in this uptrend. New trend starts here, so we'll go here. So in that channel, just chilling. So a lot of weakness here and a lot of names corresponding with the index move today, but Verizon was weak early on, kind of interestingly enough. So coming up into earnings pretty soon. So anyway, what's the higher time frame picture with Verizon? Wasn't it an inverted head and shoulders? Something like that. Yeah, right here. There it is. Going so far back I couldn't even see. Okay, so like that. Yeah, inverted. So it's coming down. Earnings pretty soon, so let's see if it's got good earnings. Earnings might propel it up something like that. You never know. I don't like buying stocks that are in this kind of pattern and maybe moving up like this. Well, this one's still pretty good. I mean, the weekly is still good, so a lot can happen. But this one's not. You know what? I'm not going to use this as an example of stocks I like to buy that are in an strong uptrend or downtrend before earnings. But let's just say in general, I don't like to buy stocks that have made huge moves to the upside into earnings, because then it takes very little to disappoint those folks who are long, and then they sell, and then you get all that supply, and then whoo, comes back, and you know, maybe you buy the pullback if the earnings are good or something like that, and there's support there. So there's still plays you can do, but anyway, I was going to use a little bit of an example there. Okay, CRM, or Salesforce, looking good, right? So it broke that clear trend line. It's moving to the upside. So looks good. Looks really good. And I've been saying this looks good for a while now. So, and it does. It looks good. It has moved up steadily since 2 weeks ago when I started saying it's great. Not tooting my own horn. I'm just saying TA works, you know. So started talking about it potentially. It's a move up here. It's a little choppy, but you know, just ride the trend. Broke out, you know. If it breaks above 270, all-time highs on deck, 284. So right here at 247, it's not a bad area to, well, try to scale in here, but get in a little bit here and go for the 267s, right? This whole area here. It's actually not bad. It's not a bad setup at all. And it's been relatively strong this week, just consolidating, right, its gains. So look at that. I mean, it's a little choppy, but look at that. It's not bad. Kind of at a buy point here. So that's what I'm kind of looking at, is this 30-minute in conjunction with the daily setup. So not bad at all. And tell. Really choppy. Not a huge, I don't have a lot of opinion on this except that the daily doesn't look great. Right, when it comes up, consolidates this area, then moves down like that. Right, this is the primary trend. I know we have a huge gap up here and everyone likes to focus on, oh, gap fill. But I'm just saying, you consolidated underneath. It could have broke up, but it didn't. It broke down. So I'm just saying, earnings coming up here, so beware. Netflix, bottom of the range. Been saying most likely Netflix will, you know, curl back up into this greater range. So I still think it's a buy. I think Netflix is likely to, you know, it'll probably be weak with the rest of the market. So if the S&Ps, which closed in a way that would probably terrify most people who like the indexes to close on highs on volume. So we may get a little weakness in the indexes early next week. But anyway, I digress. So this may follow that, but I expect it to hold this area, and then it's, you know, it's been ranging, so range on. All right, so that's my idea. So used to using. It's been a while since I've been on Thinkorswim charting. Okay, get used to Sierra chart, right clicking and all kinds of little shortcuts that I do to save time. Okay, so pretty choppy though, right? Sort of that accumulative or distributive kind of action that happens in these kind of broad trading ranges, like or balance areas, right? They like chopping everybody up. All of us linear directional traders. Yeah. Oh, it's breaking out. Hold it. Oh shit! I lost my profits. Stopped out. Oh, it's breaking out. Huge gap. Oh no, I lost my profits. Came back down. So anyway, my idea is buy this area, sell this area, right? And then, you know, if you buy here and you sell some here, if you want to hold a small amount for the breakout, fine. But you know, I mean, the modus operandi on this thing has been just sell the range. So do that until it breaks out. Then if you're already long and you're in profit, and because you bought this lower area with the stop down here, and you take profit up into this kind of area here, right? If you take profit in this range here after buying this lower range here, right? 2 lines here, and your base is say down here, well then you're comfortable with adding up here, right? If it breaks out. So, you know, buy the breakout or buy the breakout retest, whatever. Right, there's different ways to do it. Quiet chat. Sorry. I'll do requests at the end. Oracle. So how many are we into on the S&P? You know, what do I want to out of these here? What do I want to? Cisco, Pfizer, Lilly, Ford, Nike, Pepsi, ABBV, ABT. I'm not going to go all the way down there. Wells Fargo, it's just too much. McDonald's, Texas Instruments, Costco, Qualcomm. Maybe I'll go through them really fast and do less talking. That's what I'll do. Anyway, Oracle, short term, a little broken here. Just on this trend here, right? So, you know, gap down, earnings. So, expecting more weakness in Oracle. Weekly, right? Still got some room. So, down in here would be support. Okay, next one. Cisco, daily, breaking down, right? This is why it's gaining a little bit of steam here. Both on the weekly too, so next level support maybe 48. Pfizer on the weekly. Oh, see, it doesn't always stick, does it? Kind of a dirty chart. Anyway, down definitely along with a lot of the other healthcare, down in a downtrend. Eli Lilly. Yeah, this is an interesting chart. Fairly, so huge impulse here. I wonder what this looks like. Huh. I wonder what this looks like on a shorter time frame chart. You know, that one has me curious. 5-day, 5-minute. Nope. Gotta go a little further. Let's see. 20-day. Oh man. Oh, 20-day, 5-minute. There you go. All right. Let's. What does that look like? So I'm looking at this base spike here. Oh, that's interesting. No shitty structure. It's actually a pretty strong structure here. I think it's going to hold. I think Eli Lilly is a buy here. We'll see. Just looking at the weekly, like what's resistance, right? What it actually just did, right? So a lot of people saw that or this. But man, I think, I wonder what the driver is for that. Anyway, bullish looking chart. It's fine. Just a humongous volume buying impulse right there. Wow, that's amazing. Must have had news that I wasn't aware of. Anyway, AT&T. Did I say Ford? I think I said Ford for T. Anyway, downtrend. Let's see. We'll put this back on the 30-minute. 20-day, 30-minute. Okay. Clearly in a down. Ah, jeez. Clearly in this downtrend channel. See, it didn't stick. Ah, son of a gun. That's okay. Whatever. The weekly on this thing. Golly. I see rec traders. Nike? I mean, clearly had a bad few weeks. Getting worse. Right, in the channel. Well, we'll see. If it starts to break this way, it's probably going to rally. Just saying. That's probably what's going to happen. Anyway, had earnings. They didn't like it, but son of a gun. I mean, this area is support, but if it breaks it 1, 2, third time. But anyway, shorter term, watch that trend line. PepsiCo. Choppy as hell, as usual. No comment. ABBV. Tried for the highs and now rejecting. Not a good look. On the weekly, there is a trend line like this. I would expect us to go down and test that at the very least. CVX, Chevron, like the rest of the oil complex right now. A little bit of weakness here. Definitely. So this is the weekly down. Like, it's too sharp of a move to sustain. So sideways is kind of welcomed, but you know, here on the daily it's broken that trend. So it's in a balance area. So if it breaks this balance area here, not a good look. So obviously headed down, but this is support until proven otherwise. Could even false break to like here, and then find that and then rip back to the upside. Anyway, it won't let me draw here because of the volume profile. So that's interesting. I forgot the undo button. There's a shortcut on the keyboard for Thinkorswim, but I forgot what it was. Anyway, ABT. Trying to head up into the gap, Abbott. So here we've got the super gapalicious here. Coming up into earnings. So what is that? Earnings on dividend and earnings. Let's see. Come on. earnings, 720. I like the way it's moving. So Abbott likely more upside. Merck. Right, big symmetrical triangle thing on the weekly. That's weird. Allows me to do it this time. So broke this local channel. All right, so this is what you want to look at with some of the previous names, right? Like Chevron or whatever. If it breaks that, then what tends to happen is they kind of go sideways and then they move back up into the channel. So just watch that, right? Maybe set an alert or something like that. TMO. Good week. Looks good. Right, clearly in a channel. Isn't that funny how these things work? So if you were to draw a parallel channel, right, and you said here, and then this is second point, and then you took the channel tool and then you went up to here, and then it would automatically draw it in parallel from, you know, equally from here to here, from here to here. That would be your resistance. You see how that works with drawing parallel channels, how useful it is for finding resistance, right? Everyone's using, whoever's using technical analysis is using best guesstimates on measured moves and stuff like that, but that is one way to quickly find it. So a lot of people don't know how to do that. So anyway, there you go. It's pretty useful. So you can just draw it like this, and then take this and draw a trend line up here, making it equal space from here to here from here to here. All right, and then if you're long this thing, you could sell into this, and you would have got a nice, you know, maybe you buy this on, okay, 1, 2, 3, everyone's going to buy this. So maybe it comes back like here and then goes. Right? Everyone's going to buy here. So what do big players like to do? Get the stops after 1, 2, 3. Right? This will be the third sort of touch. Right? Here's 1, 2, right? Here. And then everyone buys, expecting, hey, more of the same, up. Well, what do? Take it down. It's still support here. It's not bearish. Take it down. Get all the stops. They buy your weakness, then they take it up. That's how they roll. Anyway, DHR. We're gonna go through this one. We're gonna go even faster. Actually, it looks like it's ready to rip. ACN. Ready to roll over. Okay. Wells Fargo, another bank. Weakness. Majorly weak, taking down the S&Ps. UPS. It's got some ways to go down. It's really rolled over. Big gap below. So UPS likely to move down. McDonald's. Big move, but it looks like potential trading range here. Potentially. Anyway, you put a trend line here, through here, all the way up. It's violated that. That happens all the time off big lows like this. Anyway, inverted head and shoulders. McDonald's kind of testing this pseudo neckline-ish thing, but to me it looks like trading range. Didn't really want to so far go off the inverted head and shoulders. You guys see that? Like that, like that, right, like that. And so, you know, the neckline, what goes here? Then no, it goes kind of like this. So it's tried the neckline. So you would want it to do this on the weekly and then whoop, like that. We're all going to get fatter in the United States. McDonald's is going to make even more money. That's what that tells me. We're all going to make poor eating decisions. Is this predictive about weight in the United States? Potentially. I don't know. The inverted head and shoulders is predicting massive weight gain in the United States because they're all going to be going to McDonald's. Okay. End joke. Okay, so let's move on from McDonald's. Texas Instruments. I don't know. I'm cracking myself up. You guys probably think it's stupid, but whatever. Mitch, if you're out there, I hope you're laughing at my joke. Pretty bullish still, but obviously rolling over and a big red day today. So we'll see if it holds. Right? This is, You don't want it to break this trend line and make a lower low, because then it's a new trend to the downside. So, we'll see. If it stops at this trend line, pushes back up, then we'll all say it's a symmetrical triangle. So you got to see relative to that area what's happening. This is one hit, two hits of the trend line, right? Typically it goes for a third, or tries, or rolls over before that. Costco, double top kind of action, but consolidating nice and tight, right? Like that. So interesting. Yeah, could be an M top, double top, right? See on the weekly. To me, this looks like trading range, but just because it's like this rejection straight up, I don't know. I just think it's more likely to be a trading range into 300. But I do love Costco. Okay, MDT. Medtronics. We're getting. I'm gonna stop at Qualcomm. That's like 1, 2, 3 more. This is nice, right? We get to see if it breaks this area. So if it does, it might just rip. Nice structure. You see that? This is bull flag structure. You see that? Nice move. You guys have heard me talk about complex retracements, right? Retrace, bounce, deeper retracement, up. Weird. My Sierra chart is doing weird things up above. Okay, so that's what that is. Complex retracement, and it is bullish. Thank you, Adam Grimes, for teaching us that. Morgan Stanley, another bank in the shitter. Philip Morris. Everybody's stressed out because they can't find a job, or there's lots of jobs and it's not the job you want, right? I hear everybody's picky right now, so everyone's smoking. So it has broken out here like this. It looks bullish. So see how it moves, right? Measured. Jeez, really? All kinds of weird stuff going on. Okay, so you see how it moves, right? Like this, and then it pulls back. I like to look at those when there's like, okay, a measured move, and then it pulls back, right? What's that relative measured move? Well, this is weird, but right, move, pull back. It's due for a move, but it is breaking out. So if it pulls back, I'd expect it to try and hold that and then keep going. So, but we'll see. This is a bit of a head and shoulder reversal bottom. Just letting you guys know, right? Here's a neckline, left shoulder, head, kind of a truncated, weird thing here, but just went straight up and broke that. So I don't know. Not the best structure, but this low relative to this low is higher, so it shows change of trend here already. And the fact that it just goes up and punctures the neckline, that's of little significance in terms of trend. It's a new trend and it's going up. So that's what you want to take from that. QUALCOMM. I hope you guys can still see everything. Oh, yep. Jeez. You guys don't even know. I'm doing all kinds of weird stuff. Whatever. All my controls for my streaming, I hit wrong buttons. Okay, so next thing here is QUALCOMM. And I don't really like the pattern on QUALCOMM too much. I think it's bearish because it's got this double low. Oh my gosh. It's got this double low going on here, right? It's kind of elevated, but it's kind of got that going on. So it's kind of a descending triangle. So anyway, done with QUALCOMM. So now let's start with SPY. Look at those old lines. Jeez. Remove. Whoa. Yeah, just remove them all. Okay. This is what has got everybody freaked out after the close, right? 413. Futures dipped after the cash close. It's got everybody scared, man, and rightly so. I mean, depending on how you draw this trend line, right? This thing's compressing, right? You can draw it like this too. It's in this little channel, and we're now starting to dip outside of it. So we'll see. This close, you got to realize this close was bought on volume for the E-minis, like big volume, 140,000 contracts. So you got to take that into consideration. Big players love to buy lows, right? Go sideways, then you get T+2, and then you know, you might get a little bit more fleshy flush in the next coming days, and then before you know it, when all those shares clear, if we've gone sideways and drifted up overnight, they're all in profit and they start buying again. It's just how it works. So anyway, this trend line, yeah, it is concerning. Could it lead to something more? Absolutely. But that close on volume is, I don't know, typically closes on lows on volume is bullish for the next week. So, and then if you look at Squeeze Metrics, the Lemonhead on Twitter, check out his dark pool index. So just Google Squeeze Metrics and then the dark pool index, and take a look at that and look at how it correlates with the gamma and everything else. So we already had quad witching happen. So he predicts something bullish over the coming months or something. So maybe you want to be buying pullbacks. I don't know. According to them, they seem to think so. But I've been 100% into cash since yesterday and bought those NVDA puts. So that tells you where I'm at short term, right? I'm looking to buy pullbacks that are bought on volume in the coming days. So I am looking to be a buyer again, but I want to see how things shake out here. Yeah, there's just sometimes you get situations where everybody is bullish at once. And this is one of those times where I think too many people. You have your perma bears; they're always bearish almost. But right now there's a huge number of people that are so used to the markets rallying after pullbacks that I was starting to get concerned as we went sideways, and the markets just looked a little tired. So. I've changed my tune several times in this area, right? I got bullish here, and then when we went sideways and just never really pushed up hard, I got really uncomfortable here. So I'm pretty fortunate that I sold all of my positions. Like I said, 100% cash. That doesn't happen too often on like everything for me, for like investing. So you know, maybe I'm the one you fade. Right, but yeah, that's where I'm at with that. So anyway, SPY big move into the close, and we're all just watching the way it reacts under this trend line. So you have support at 405, low volume node here, gap here. You know, if you come down here, I would expect to fill that gap, and then you know, high volume node below 400, and at that point you probably have a 200 period moving average here. If it did, you know, whatever, rally, come down, it'd be somewhere close to the 200 depending. So remember what I was telling you guys, when everything starts to really fan out like this, all these moving averages, yeah, shows you're in a strong uptrend, but when they start to get really, really wide, beware. So that's also what I'm looking at. You see that? The 200, the 100, the 50, and the 20 period. See how they're all super fanned out? The 10 tends to follow price, so the 10 is right there. But that's, you can just look at it, right? Fanned out. This is all fanned out. Pretty fanned out. So they start to, the 20 starts to cross here, right? Kind of fanned out, boom, right? The 20 starts to cross. They fan out a little bit here. But it's, you know, it's a little extended. It's this kind of parabola action, right? So, you know, that's what the market's doing. I don't know. Obviously, it's been megaphoning. So, megaphoning into a sort of a parabolic advance. This doesn't end well. Just generally speaking, it doesn't end well. So it doesn't matter if we go to 500. I'm going to be out of the markets, playing week to week, even on the retirement accounts. Week to week, waiting for some crazy action. I will be waiting for it. It just doesn't end well. This pattern does not end well. So anyway, more doom and gloom. I know. SPY, QQQ. We're rotating into QQQ from all that other stuff that was rallying. Oops. Look at that. I'll have some custom charts in Thinkorswim here pretty soon. So anyway, it's the Q's new highs, but kind of going back to that, like with that, what was it, XOM made this kind of pattern. I said, I don't really like, I'm not a huge fan of this. So if it kind of rolls over here and does this, sorry. Little struggle. If it rolls over here and kind of does that, I mean, it could tighten up and then go, but typically signifies some weakness. But anyway, the I've been saying it for a while down in here that there's sector rotation, so that's happening. So, you know, we saw Apple. Apple was not too bad. Amazon, good, right? Microsoft, just been in a super strong bullish trend. Google, pretty good. Facebook, kind of weak. Berkshire Hathaway, kind of weak short term. Oh, my phone is responding to Google. Turn that over. Visa, not so strong. NVDA, well, it's strong, but I think it's going to be weak pretty soon. JP Morgan, weak. Johnson & Johnson, weak. Walmart, weak. United Healthcare, weak. MasterCard, PayPal breaking out. Bank of America weak. Procter & Gamble neutral. Home Depot weak. Disney looking weak, right? So we get this little picture here, right? If you remember what's kind of gone on here, and that should help determine how you view things. I didn't do the NASDAQ 100. I will probably get back to that because I should have done that. I forgot. Anyway, so up against this trend line, it is rule of 3, which means typically it gets violated. So today, with some aggressive selling into the close on futures, right? So did we violate it? A little bit, yeah. So if it comes down off of this, it'd be like sort of a failed breakout. Sort of a failed breakout look. But with the QQQ, it's nothing terrible. This is a, you know, the 30-minute chart. It still looks just fine. Dow Jones Industrial, so the Diamonds ETF. So a lot of folks have been saying this looks wrecked, and I kind of agree with you. It does look wrecked. Here's the daily. You can do a trend line like this, and you see that just broken down. So industrials don't look good. If you do the trend line off the weekly, you know, it's already was violating that. So I don't like that trend line personally. So some folks will probably do something like this. Hey, it corresponds to a high volume node here, so if it does break, it's already on a little bit of a node here. It's potentially get some bounce here and roll over. So if it does come down, the next higher-ish volume node is down here. It would correlate with this trend line too. So that's kind of cool. So that would be probably a buy zone. So we'll just do that. Right? And we'll remember it. Okay, so Dow Jones, IWM, Russell 2000, in a range. So definitely in a range. Edit properties. Oh, I need to go more. Transparency, so like way up there. Something like that. Okay. So in a range, it tried at the edge of the range, pull back. I saw something interesting. I think it was Sentiment Trader on Twitter that said some ridiculously high number of the Russell 2000 was not profitable at all. So kind of interesting. And I think that is because of AMC, GME, etc. Because they're a pretty big weighting. So a lot of these meme stocks. That's kind of interesting to think about. So pretty bearish. So let's go into real quick the Nasdaq. Oh, come on, Nasdaq 100. There you go. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Facebook, Tesla, NVIDIA, PayPal. Yes. Didn't do this one. All right. There you go. Ooh, baby. Oh, coming down to that trend line for so 1, 2, 3. Maybe a fourth time here. So some sort of, again, ascending wedge kind of action, right? A lot of trends, they end with this, but they make some sort of final blow off or something. So I don't know. It's obviously we're not getting, as you're making like if you think of the market pulling back and then making strong impulses, the impulses are getting weaker and weaker, right? And then sort of it's retracing less. So it's just like, it runs out of fuel. You runs out of fuel. You got to flush this supply. So that's why these patterns develop the way they do. But if they go sideways and then shorts get a little cocky here, sometimes you get that blow off move, and that's what I like to short. It's kind of like NVIDIA, right? Anyway. Let's see. Did we do Netflix? Yeah, we did Netflix. Cisco, AVGO, okay. Broadcom. Been saying this doesn't look bad for a while. Man, it's just right there. So anyway, kind of a double bottom. So let's see. I don't know if it rejects here. Has the potential to explode here and make new highs, or given the move, like everything else, come back down, right? So T-Mobile, clearly in an uptrend. Got to be careful making patterns out of all this, right? So anyway, how would most people draw the trend line? Something like that. Or maybe here to up here to here, right? Then we're already at resistance. See that? Oh, it's resistance. I don't know. To me, yeah, this is part of the overall trend, I guess. But this is more of the local trend right here. So I put more weight into the local trend. T-Mobile, Texas Instruments. We already did that one. Costco, we already did that one. AMZN, that's what it was. Okay, I know there's a few that don't. False break. Looks like range play, but more likely to break down than up. Why? Because it already came back down, so I would expect it to come back down to the 221s. Into it. Strong, super strong after tax season. And And they do all kind of QuickBooks and all that other. They have a lot of products now, loans, all kinds of stuff. Kind of going a little crazy here. Yeah, it makes these little measured moves and then it pulls back. So into it would not surprise me to see a pullback here, right where it's at, like right where it's at. So more likely down short term than up, even though it's strong right now. I get that it's strong, but that's my opinion. Starbucks looks like ready for some weakness. Broke a lot of different trend lines here. Can you see them? Right there, right there, right. Right. No matter how you draw it, that's not a good way to draw a trend line. Anyway, weakness. So what was resistance becomes support. High volume node here. So, but I expect it to drop a little, maybe the 200 or something like that. Not the strongest looking. Applied materials. We had been looking at this one and said it looked good. Broke all these. Man, I'm such a noob. Here, we'll just do this. It broke all of these. That's interesting. That could be in. Huh. I'll show you guys right now. Come on, stick. Alright, so broke that, and this is a complex retracement. Big, oh, son of a gun. Nope, doesn't work. Okay. Turn it off. Alright. So it made, oh good, this complex retracement back up to the trend line, broke it. Now it went sideways, balance, it broke down. But what's interesting about this pattern, you know, everybody tends to focus on this, like, oh, it's breaking down here. But with the, you know, like the, I guess, head and shoulder continuation kind of pattern, right? Where you get this, 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 right? And if this curls up like this and comes back, right, you get like this neckline somewhere in this area, and then the measured move is, you know, whoa, way up here, right? So it's just something to be aware of, right? You don't want it. This goes away. This pattern goes away if this area does not hold. So if it kind of goes through there, that's not good, right? Trend line or not, that's not good. Still could turn into a bigger pattern, but you know, classical charting patterns, or classical charting patterns 101, you don't want this to break for an inverted head and shoulders, and you don't really like a breakout to go sideways, consolidate, then have balance and break down. So just saying. JD. So we've done what, maybe 20 of these, so that's probably enough. We have Zoom. Zoom will be on another list, so it's okay. JD. Yeah, health. Just retracing on the weekly in a healthy way, right? So low volume node rejected. Here's an HVN here at 61. Probably a nice buy zone for 10, 15 points, whatever. And then ultimately, if it comes all the way back down here, I'd look to be a buyer. Anyway, so now let's go over to my movers. We already did Tesla. We already did NVIDIA. Let's do Zoom. Alright, so Zoom. Wow, this trend line is crazy on here. It's not even, that's not right at all. Don't know why that is. Anyway, I've been bullish on Zoom. I own some, and it is, well, I owned some. Forgot, I already sold out of everything here. I sold out of it in the 360s. But it's independently doing its own thing, isn't it? Probably shouldn't have sold, but well, whatever. I bought it much lower in this area. This used to have a green zone here, and it did in Sierra chart, but anyway, let's moving on. These charts are now clean. So in a clear uptrend on the 30-minute, really? Like that, right? Like that. So parallel channel, you want to be buying it probably in this area, 350 something. Like, well, it's never going to come back. It will. Markets oscillate. That's how they roll. So yeah, that would be in this area. Let's see. Here, maybe 360s if it pulls back like this. Something like that. Sorry, it's been going up and pulling back and pulling back, right? Everybody's getting a little, it's you know, everyone's getting a little excited because they clearly broke this downtrend line. So now the pullbacks get a little shallower. So, you know, it might rip again, but if it pulls back, buy it. If you don't want to chase, well then buy a tiny amount and do a wider stop. You know, that's how you do it. AMD. I mean, okay, how many folks are going to be nervous about that? Probably a few, but you know, it has just gone sideways like this. The problem is that this looks for a lot of people like a head and shoulders. So that trend line, I don't know, I wouldn't be long AMD. Neo. So Neo broke out of a balance area in here, and I just sold it because I'm a little freaked out by the indexes right now. You know, you can always buy higher, or buy strength, right, when things curl up. But the last thing I want to do is experience a 10% drawdown on positions in my accounts and stuff. So I can do fairly well just swing trading specific names and kind of cherry picking. So this one broke out. I just sold everything. But it looks good. If you're long Neo and you know you're not a wimp like me, stay long. So it's been moving in this nice, like this. All right. Oops. See how all of a sudden Thinkorswim decides. Anyway, nice little channel. Whatever. 1, 2, 3. I mean, it's just moving in that channel. So it's nice. This is a nice sustainable move here. So it looks good. Coinbase. I see dead traders. Sorry, Andre. I see dead traders. I just do. I see crypto maniacs dying. Okay, this is ugly. Again, if you're going to put here. Let's go like this. There you go. I know everybody wants to do, I don't know, you can do this. This is what I would do. This is the, you know, all that opening day BS here. Just discount all that. It's not a trend. This is just like the market trying to figure out where there's value. So it, you know, it consolidated. See, it didn't stick. It consolidated here. It started to find value and form a trend. So here, that's where my trend line starts. Not way up here, but I get it. A lot of you are going to be like, you know, I draw my trend lines from the highest point all the way down. Bullish. No, it's not, but whatever. You can believe that if you want. When it breaks this, or if it breaks this, you're going to see a much better kind of move than what it's doing. Uno, dos, maybe tres, maybe. And you can anticipate, maybe you get in here. This area here, but, you know, you don't forget about the lows, right? 1, 2, 3, but that's such a shallow bounce. Right? So the short term is like, you know, this is a trend line too. Right here. See that? That's a trend too. Right? That's where we're consolidating, right? So if it breaks maybe this, okay, get a little long, then anticipating it'll break this, maybe false break. You know, this thing IPO'd with value at 250. So 250 right in here could get a trend line or channel rejection, and then this just turns into a little range in this area until crypto pumps again and Coinbase makes a ton of money. But you know, those things sometimes take a long time for those cycles to come back, you know, after a huge massive pump in crypto. And you got to remember, crypto pumped everything, even all the shit coins, as they're called. They all pumped all this like very low value stuff. And when that happens, it's usually the sign of a short-term bubble. So not to say Bitcoin won't be more valuable than it is today in the future. Palantir, it might anyway. So it's just doing this. It's in this little uptrend. I think more likely down than up. AMC. Hey, that's not a strong move. Look at that on the weekly. Straight up. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. But might AMC break above here? Yeah, the structure says it's likely. I mean, because, okay, a little gap here, but like this. Just saying, technically, little balance area. The all-time highs are just so close, and for it to hold highs here like that. Now, again, look at the moving averages, guys. Look at that. Super fanned out. And I mean, obviously, is this company really, is it worth this? I mean, maybe. Maybe the market's pricing something in, or maybe this is just meme stockville, right? But just saying. It's kind of holding this, so they might try to pump it higher, but then I would expect for it to just dump at some point. But you know, maybe it does go above $100 or something like that, right? And then everybody puts their life savings in it and gets wrecked and sells the bottom, right? That's what these things, that's what happens. Let's see, GME on the weekly. Here it is on the daily. I mean, lower highs, higher lows, breaking out, kind of tulips, but the pattern is kind of bullish. I just, you know, I'm not buying here. But will I trade it intraday? Hell yeah. BYND, heartbreak. I got stopped out here. Anyway, yeah, BYND megaphone pattern, right? This is what happens with these things. And it bounced right off megaphone pattern support off of, you know, this candle and this one, forming this support area. So a little down and sideways wouldn't surprise me, but it's balancing on the daily. So what is this, BlackBerry? Yeah, how come it didn't put the information up there? Ah, well, whatever. Anyway, we had this one pegged as a long here. Boom. See how when it broke that? Short interest was pi, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so BlackBerry coming back down to this gap, coming back to reality here. You know, this is classic pump and dump chart. Lower highs, you know, pretty good volume here, but doesn't get as high, right? It's becoming played out fastly. Anybody have any requests? I got like a few more here, and then I'll chart anything you guys want. How long is this video? An hour and 30 minutes? I see dead traders still shorted. That's what I think. I think it's gonna try to break up and then it's gonna reject, but yeah, could be wrong. What if it does on the daily and And then I just look like a fool. I'm just thinking out loud here. What if it's like, okay, this is like a trend line. What if it does this and it does this? And it just goes to town. It could. I don't know. I think about it. But yeah, right here, it looks stupidly bearish. But if it does that, well, then I'll flip my script. Change my tune. All right. Workhorse. I've been saying I see dead traders, but this turned into an overly shorted stock, right? And then, you know, the whole buy everything that has a high short interest thing came into play. So that's what's happening here. So, you know, got to be aware that's happening. This still looking pretty decent, actually. So, you know, for you Elliott wavists out there, so no requests so far. That's fine. Go enjoy my Friday afternoon with my fam. Let's see. So, I'm sorry. If you're an Elliott wavist, you're like, what are you talking about? Wave 2, wave 3, wave 5. So, leads to the moon. Looks good. All right, and no requests. So that's the last one. Hope you guys have a good weekend and stay vigilant. You know, keep how am I trying to describe this? You know, stick to a routine and put the hard work in, and success will most likely find you. But if you don't do that, then and you just kind of float, following from one furu to the next, you most likely won't be successful in this game, because you know, the best trades come when you're fully convicted about the trade and you're able to hold through drawdowns, or, you know, not freak out when, you know, the move, when price moves against you, because you know what your risk is, and you know, you expect price to move a certain way because you know you're intimate with it. You know what it is that you expect from the trade, and you know when it doesn't move, a stock doesn't move the way you expect, you know when to get out, right? Like, oh, the structure has changed, and that's because maybe you've put the work in to understand the market. So read books and you know, work hard, and that usually will pay off for most folks. So anyway, without any requests, let's see. Sean Zach, hey, thanks, buddy. Charles, 10,000 hours. That's right. You know, just put a lot of work in. You know, for some it's more, and for others it's less. But you know, 10,000 hours of just staring at a screen will just make you dumber. You're like, yeah, you'll see some patterns, but 10,000 hours is, you know, it's like chess. You don't just want to move pieces around the board without any thought. You know, it's 10,000 hours of focused practice, where you know you're making your brain hurt, right, and learning new things and putting structure onto things, and then testing, having a hypothesis, and then testing it against the market, right? That's how you really learn, not just, well, you know, lick your finger, put it up to the wind, and what do I feel like today, right? And not write anything down, not journal anything. That is not gonna produce the same results as somebody who's, you know, being studious and writing down their observations. It's scientific method, right? Essentially, it's the best way we know how to help determine truth, right? You come up with the hypothesis, you write it down, you test it, you see if it conforms, you test it a whole bunch of times, right? And then you say, like, well, we don't know with absolute certainty whether this is true or not, but more times than not, this works. And that's what it is with trading. It's just a probability game. So, you know, this is not gambling in that sense, right? We're looking for patterns that routinely play out with certain types of market structures, right? So that's how I talk the way that I do, and from, you know, week to week have a pretty good idea of where a lot of these things are going, right? And when I don't know, I say, well, it's not clear to me. But I would say much more than half the time I'm right on a lot of these things. And that just comes from, hey, I've read a lot of books, I've tested things a lot of times, and you know, now I have probabilities that I play in my head, and I'm able to say with a little more certainty, oh, this looks good, or this doesn't look good. But you know, obviously not guaranteed. So anyway, have a good weekend, guys, and thanks for watching. All right, take it easy.